All right, everybody. 1:15 p.m. sharp Pacific time. Thursday, December 7th. Let's go ahead and kick off the Ask Me Anything. Got all the questions pulled up from the private Facebook group as well as the BTWB Squads feature. And so we'll go ahead and dive right in. But I've got a cool email that I got from somebody, and I'm going to read it real quick as kind of a shout out, and because it's pretty awesome. So let's see. This person wrote in and said, I know it's probably a challenging time, but do you think you could journal your road to recovery with regards to your hip? I think it would be really informative for people to see the process of modifying and scaling. I actually am keeping what I've been doing kind of like in a Google Doc, and not that people should do what I do and not discount whatever their doctor says, but I'm going to kind of put this out once it's all done as to what I did, if it worked well for me and all that good stuff. And just let people know. But it's been going good. I just finished week 3 from my surgery, so I'm entering week number 4. And I'll chat more about that during one of the AMA questions. But anyway, back to Ben here, who sent me an email. Ben M. said, I wanted to reach out with a quick update and show, number 1, what the Linchpin programming has enabled me to do, and number 2, what the mindset of Linchpin has enabled for me. I started this year thinking I may never run again, and I was okay with that. I could have been super bummed about it. Then we spoke in July, and my approach changed. My plan was to try to incorporate running in a tolerable dose and recognize that I may not be as fast and just count that as a huge win. Since then, I've gone on a tear of slowly setting myself challenges with realistic expectations and seeing how I fare. So he's gone from thinking he may never run again to he has finished a 21-kilometer Spartan Beast in September, which he says in parentheses, it was horrendous. Ran a 10K in 55 minutes and 36 seconds last October 2020. Yeah, in October this year. Completed an 82-kilometer cycling race. Ran another 10K this morning in 52 minutes 15 seconds. So here we are in December, and just compared to October, he took his 10K down by 3 minutes and 20 seconds, which is awesome. And I've just registered to compete in an Ironman 70.3 in September of next year. Whoo! These are things that would have seemed ridiculous at the start of the year, but he's making great progress. Your programming has made a real difference, so thank you. But almost more importantly, your education on mindset and approach to fitness is a game changer. The Ask Me Anything, the Linchpin Conversations, the VNR podcast, the Instagram posts, the cult-like community you have built on Facebook, it's putting out some really good energy, and I can't thank you enough. So that's super cool. I mean, that's the whole point, right? To develop an actual, real, positive, global community, making good decisions, pushing the limits intelligently, and doing things right. So, Ben, congratulations. All right. Let's dive right in because there's a lot of questions. We'll start in the private Facebook group. I'm just going to go down in order, not even necessarily the most upvoted. I think if I keep a good pace, I think I can get through all the questions. So, first one that was posted is from Rusty P. The programming guide you gave us was extremely informative. Thank you for that, by the way. But could you elaborate on how you determine the limited equipment options, which is the dumbbells, programming, and how that would be the equivalent to the respective workout of the day? I have to imagine that would be informative as well. So for anybody who has not, put out a free 52-page guide on programming where I built a 4-week block of training start to finish. I mean, from scratch. And it's been downloaded thousands of times now, which is really cool. Just go to CrossFitLinchpin.com, click the tab marked ebook, and get it for free. With regards to the dumbbell workouts are, I think, some of the coolest workouts out there personally. Like, I think they're really fun and creative and awesome and effective. And depending upon what the regular workout of the day is and what that training stimulus is and what we're trying to replicate to the best of our ability with the dumbbells, kind of dictates what it is. Some things are relatively simple. If we're doing clean and jerks with the barbell, if it's Grace, 30 reps at 135, we're where if we're assuming a lighter pair of dumbbells, 50s and 35s, we're doing dumbbell clean and jerks. That's exactly the same movement as the regular workout. We're just probably going to bump up the volume of work to try to get in a similar total amount of work at the end. And so that's not overly difficult on a day like that. But then some of the other days, depending upon what it is, more creativity, research, and design has to go into it. And I would say an example of that is something like a strength day. If it's a 7x1 back squat or deadlift, or if it's a squat snatch day or a clean and jerk day, where you just don't want to say, okay, you're just going to do a higher level of volume, which sometimes that makes sense, but not all the time. But on the heavy days, a lot of them are very cool, and I like how they shake out with the dumbbells because it forces me to work really hard between the ears and to kind of dissect the movement and figure out what is the musculature that we're really focusing on that particular heavy day, and then how can we best train it on that particular day with just one modest set of dumbbells. And that's why I think some of the heavy day dumbbell workouts are really cool, and also why I recommend to Linchpin members, even if you have all the gear in the world, every now and then on a heavy day specifically, choose the dumbbell option. Choose violence, and it'll be a good day. Second question, your feelings on the new annual affiliate fee? No feelings at the moment, to be honest with you. I'll let you know if that changes. Chris U. As someone new to CrossFit style workouts, but having exercise experience, I do go into most workouts with the plan of pacing myself to ensure a hard but not impossible session. Should I push myself and go all out even though I might be doing 1 to 2 reps at a time? Okay. First of all, I have a cough drop in my mouth. Sorry. Still getting over this stupid cold. I don't want to just hack my way through this Instagram Live, so I got some cough drops. So, Chris, the overwhelming majority of the time, pacing is your friend. Okay? Now, most of us that have been doing CrossFit for a while, do you know how we're good at pacing? By making a lot of mistakes and going out way too hot on too many workouts and learning the hard way, and then throttling back way too much on other workouts and be like, I was fitter than I thought I was. I should have gone harder on that, and everything in between, until you just get the reps and the experience and the lessons learned and the mistakes that you start to learn pacing. Because there's so many different style workouts that we do. You've got to learn pacing with light, moderate, heavy loading, gymnastics workouts, just monostructural workouts, just barbell workouts, sprint days, interval days, the whole 9 yards. And so but I'll tell you what, you're on the right track. Pacing is usually a good strategy and a good call, because if you go out so hot and so fast and you burn out that you're down to 1 or 2 reps, then you're taking probably a ton of rest because you're smoked, 1 or 2 reps, ton of rest because you're smoked, because you're trying to dig yourself out of this hole. Overwhelmingly speaking, not the ideal strategy for most workouts, not what most people would recommend. So, especially if you're newer to CrossFit style workouts, pacing is your friend. A lot of times if you start out at what you think is a bit more conservative than necessary, a lot of times it turns out 1 or 2 rounds later, you're really glad that you didn't go out faster, and now that actually turns out to be a pace that you're lucky to hold on to. And if every now and then, you learn the hard way, you went out a bit too fast, cool, or that you should have gone out faster, cool. And none of that has anything to do with safety, so I hope that's obvious, but I'll say it anyway. You can go out way too fast in a workout, burn out, hit a wall, and never compromise your technique. You just went out too darn fast, and now you're hyperventilating, and you don't feel set to do another rep, and you have to wait a whole heck of a lot longer until you can. So you should, no matter what you're doing, you should never compromise the quality of your movement for how much you're stomping the gas pedal. John W. Cycling snatches. I see a lot of people cycling snatches quickly by essentially bouncing the bar off their hip crease with very little hip extension and what looks like a lot of upper body pulling. Is this how you advise people to cycle lighter snatches, assuming that it's safe and treats them well, Or are you envisioning more of a quick cycling of a hang power snatch? And, no shade thrown on anyone who was, doing it that style. So, good question. And there's a couple things in here. So, having an honest conversation, there's a lot of people, quite strong, that if you saw them, maybe they're so strong that you see them do a workout like Randy, 75 power snatches for time, 75 pounds for men, 55 pounds for women. So for a lot of people, that's quite a light loading. For plenty of us, it's still challenging. And so for the people who that's really on the light side for, they might find a way to move that barbell that is quite far from what you would consider beautiful form and technique. And it is what it is. And if you think about it, let's say that you're really strong, right? Let's say that you have a 500-pound deadlift. Do you have to be more cautious with how you pick up 450 pounds or more cautious with how you pick up a pencil off the ground? You can take a lot of liberties and a lot of, you got a lot of slop area in your form with how you pick a pencil up off the ground compared to how you pick up 450 pounds if your 1 rep max deadlift is 500 pounds, right? Because you're so below what your threshold is. And as the weight of the object that you're picking up increases, the attention to detail that you need to place upon that increases in some sort of linear fashion. And so every now and then you'll see people doing something with a loading or whatnot that they're getting away with it. Now, if you're asking me is what would I prefer? Since we're in this for the long haul and we're in this to make good decisions and we're in this for when you're in your later decades in life, you feel good about your knees, back, and shoulders, I would rather have you, like I said before, don't ever move faster than you can move properly. That's the shortest answer that I can give to that. So maybe somebody, going back to that Randy example, could get a stupid, blazing fast Randy time by just flopping over the waist, smashing the barbell on the ground, pulling it right up over their head with nothing that really resembles a snatch in any way, shape, or form, and they're such a beast that they can get away with it. Compared to if they went down, touched the ground, made sure everything was reset before they pulled again, had a nice pull into their hip crease, the whole 9 yards, and it quote-unquote slowed them down, and their Randy was slower. Between those two examples, I would rather see the slower Randy. So I would just say don't ever move faster than you can move well. Leaderboard be damned. And just enjoy the fact that your knees, back, and shoulders don't have chronic pain. That would be my 2 cents on that. I'm going to cough, sorry. Man. Phil T, can we get an update on your progress? Where are you in the healing? What does the process in PT look like? These questions and any others, for example. So, for anyone who's unfamiliar, about 3 weeks ago, I had a full and total hip replacement on the right side of my hip. And I talked about why this occurred in 3 or 4 podcasts ago. So go back and probably entitled, I Need a Full Hip Replacement, or Total Hip Replacement. Nothing relating to working out. It's a military accident that I had in the year 2000, and it was going to happen. I had a hip replacement coming in my life, and the time was now. And I'm 3 weeks into, it's been 3 weeks. I'm 3 weeks post-op. The first 6 weeks, I've got to be really careful. Anybody who's had the surgery has to be really careful. So to be honest with you, it's been so boring. My quote-unquote fitness and working out and rehab, so boring. I haven't even really been able to do what I can't wait to do, which is basically modify the workout of the day for Linchpin. Because in the first 6 weeks, you need to be so cautious, because if you think of your hip and you've got the head of your femur, right, the ball, and it's like a ball in a socket joint, right, and the hip, articulates around. That socket is your acetabulum, right, and if you, there's a little bit of bone, there's of course tissue around there as well that helps keep everything in place. But then there's some bone that grows around the acetabulum to help keep the head of the femur locked into the socket there. Well, for a full and total hip replacement, they need to get the head of your femur out of that socket, and so if any of that needs to go away, it needs to go away. So they put the new head on your femur and put you back together. But it takes about 6 weeks for that bone to regrow around the edge of the acetabulum that really helps lock the head of your femur in there. And so for the first 6 weeks, if you do something stupid, if you hit into a wrong position, if you do something with velocity or explosive that you shouldn't, you have a risk of dislocation of the hip. That's probably as unpleasant as it sounds. And so for the first 6 weeks, you just got to be very careful, very cautious, respect the process and all that stuff. So I have been doing air squats. I'm in my garage 3 times a day, so I do a morning PT session, a midday, and an evening one as well, where I've got my rehab exercises and whatnot. I'm finally at the stage now where I can do some light pedaling on the air bike. I can do some light rowing. Can't really do intensity in either one of those things yet. I'm doing some air squats to like a 12-inch plyo box, which is awesome. I just started this week doing them with a little bit of load. I have a 25-pound kettlebell that'll hold as a goblet squat, and I'll do them very slow and controlled, so I'm getting those in as well. I'm doing some very light deadlifting. When I say light, I mean like a 25-pound dumbbell in each hand, just to move through that range of motion, kind of strengthening and rehabilitation at the same time. And then I'm just doing a bunch of other stuff I can do to, for my sanity, which is repetitive, but it's, push-ups, dumbbell bench press, and even with like dumbbell bench press, I have to go on the lighter side and higher number of repetitions, just because if you think about how you'd like to kind of grab a set of dumbbells, sit down on a bench, set them on your legs, lean back, use your legs to help you. Like, I can't do any of that. But like velocity and momentum things, it's slow and controlled. So a lighter set of dumbbells that I can lay back with. I do a higher volume set of reps, ring dips, doing a ton of strict pull-ups. I've been doing some one-arm rows or whatnot. I'm walking on the air runner a ton, but it's repetitive. I kind of have myself almost like a body part split, where on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do the same thing. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I do the same thing. And like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is like the below parallel session with the squatting and the goblet squats and some pushing on those days as well, like the push-ups and the dips and the bench press and air bike on those days. And then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, I'm on the rower. I do my light deadlifts and I do my upper body pulling, like strict pull-ups and things like that. And then I walk at those sessions. So it's been very repetitive, very beneficial, but profoundly boring. I can't wait to get back to training. What I'm doing has been great, and it's keeping me, fit to some degree and strong to some degree and moving to a great degree. And then I can't wait to get the green light to slowly start building up. So that's been my life right now. I'm so envious of watching everyone work out. It's driving me crazy. But thank you for asking. Let's see. Corey C. How did a Tabata workout and a 10K run conveniently get programmed while you're recovering from your hip replacement? Totally kidding, coach. I hated them both, but know that you would love to have been able to do them as well. Hope recovery is going great. Thank you so much. 100% as well. And it's like I said before, until something is taken away from you, then you just crave it so bad, right? I've said this before in a podcast, like we're CrossFitters, right? Competitive by nature, either with yourself or with somebody else. You want to test yourself and push yourself, and all of us probably suffer from the same mental problem, which is no matter what you're doing and how great you're doing, you see the next rung of the ladder. You want to do a little bit better. You wish your Fran, even if you have a fast Fran, it could be a little faster. Even if you have a monster deadlift, I'd like to get to that next tier. We're just never happy, which is a blessing and a curse. Now, I can't do any of those things that I wish that I could, and I sit here and think to myself, what I wouldn't give to front squat or deadlift or back squat or do this workout or that workout. I can't believe that I wasn't happy with that workout. I would kill to deadlift that weight right now, or I was just so I can't believe I was never unhappy with any particular lift that I had or workout that I had. The mere fact that I just wish I could lift and I wish I could work out. So that would be my little life lesson to everybody is, if you're in the game, I don't care what your time is or what your load is, you're in the game. Be happy and appreciate the fact that you're in the game. Okay. Nasos. Can we get a Linchpin Test 14 shirt on the website? I'm going to have to go ahead and say probably yes, because of all the shirts that we've put out. This has been like the most overwhelmingly positive. People love this shirt, and I've had this question over and over again, so I think yes, I'm going to have to. And this is the shirt, if you're unfamiliar with it, for Linchpin Test 14 that just finished up. Simple, just says lift with the barbell on it. Pretty clean, pretty simple. I like it a lot. I hoped everyone else liked it, and people really seem to like it, so that was a home run. So yeah, we'll have to get that on the store as quick as I can. All right, Jose C. Hi coach, what are the benefits of using a heavy rope in place of double unders? I see you have done this in the past on many of your workouts. Okay, so first of all, there's a couple of ways that we could go with this. I grab the heavy rope every now and then, this big heavy thick steel cable rope I have in my garage, and let's say there's 50 double unders per round, and I might just grab that heavy rope and do 50 single unders per round. I just do that because the simplest answer is I think it's fun. It's literally that simple. I think it's fun and it's enjoyable. I have double unders, I can do double unders, and after however many years of working out that I've been doing, just a little change like that makes a movement that's been happening however many times new, fresh, and fun again. So I do it primarily just because it puts a smile on my face, and it's challenging in a different way. Since it is heavy, it'll burn my shoulders a bit more than traditionally like a light double under rope would. And so that's the number one reason that I do it. You will feel a little bit more of a hit like that. Like I feel it's more demanding. I could do, unless I had a trip, I could do more unbroken double unders than I probably could with the heavy single with the heavy rope, because it does wear me down a bit. Now the other thing you could say is some people become so proficient with double unders and the ropes are so fast and so light that I don't want to say that they're not getting too much out of it, but they're almost not getting too much out of it. It's almost like a break for some people really before they go and do something else. That putting this back in where there's this heavy element to it, or heavy enough that you have to pay attention to it, is a cool way to blow the dust off an old movement that we've done a bunch. The only, not potentially downside, but just, laying all the different things out there. Sorry as I crunch a cough drop. And immediately put a new one in, so I don't start a coughing, hacking fit here. The other thing which I would have to say is, it's a simpler movement, that's for sure. I would personally say. I mean, the coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance, if you're talking about the neurological components of the single under versus the double under, I feel like the heavy rope single under is a bit more taxing, if you want to say that, on the body, and less so on the mind, where the double under might be, once you get them down, a little less taxing on the body and more taxing on the mind, just because of the technique involved. And so it's just one of those things to do to have fun. So hopefully that helps. And again, you jump and rope either way, right? It's not like if I could probably never do a double under again in my life, and it would have no detriment, to my fitness. So it's just something I work in every now and then, just to have a good time with it. Christy J. I watched Novikov deadlift 1,000 pounds for 6 reps in the Tower of Power at the Rogue Invitational. Right, 6 reps at 1,000 pounds. How about that? In his socks. I go barefoot unless absolutely necessary and have worked out barefoot. As a result, my feet are wide and my shoes must accommodate. My husband always wears shoes including a popular brand that are narrow fitting and don't, in my opinion, allow for proper toe spread. What's your opinion on shoes versus no shoes for workouts? So, I'm not an expert on this, so take that with a grain of salt. This is just 100% my opinion. I think for I think a well-fit, comfortable, durable shoe for most workouts is a good thing for as many different things as we do with our strength and conditioning program. From you could take off down the street on a run that's got little rocks or whatever, trash or pieces of glass or just undulations, if you will, to gravel or whatever. Come back, a box jump, come back, climb a rope, with your feet, come back, jumping rope, you want to catch your foot with a steel cable rope or whatnot, just whatever it happens to be. I think shoes are a good idea for most of that stuff. Now on just a lifting day, well, there's a different story. You're just squatting, you're just deadlifting, you're just doing something like that. I think that, that's a much more controlled environment. A lot of people could probably go shoeless if they so desire and be cool with it. From lifters that I've spoken to, specifically with like deadlifting barefoot, they'll like it for, if my memory serves, better contact and feel with the ground, right? Depending upon whatever the sole of the shoe is that you potentially could have been wearing that has some squish or doesn't have some squish, well, that's all gone. I've got this direct transference to Mother Earth or the lifting platform, whatever it happens to be, which they'll feel engages their posterior chain better, more connectedness, and it leads to a better lift. And then also, if the shoes are a little squishy or whatnot, you might feel less stable, not as well planted. Well, now that's been removed and eliminated. Barefoot, just better planted. And then if, depending upon how thick the soles of the shoes are, you are, especially with something like a deadlift, you are reducing the range of motion, right? Now the sole of your shoe might not be 1 inch, right? It's probably less than that, but for simple math, let's just say the sole of your shoe is 1 inch. Now you take those shoes off, your feet are on the ground, okay? Which means that bar on your shin is 1 inch higher up your shin. The higher that barbell is up your shin, the less you got to pull it. The closer that barbell goes down to your ankle, the longer the pull. And so it does to some degree. On a deadlift, it's advantageous. Okay, let's see. Evan B. For workouts like Tuesday's workout, which was, if memory serves, that was the hang, power, snatch, and box jump burner, I want to say. For Tuesday's workout, which include an overhead position, I often struggle with modifying with a movement like dumbbell overhead to make sure I get the strength training in. My fear is that with movements that are overhead where I'm not able to move that much load, that I don't get in as good of a workout. Any tips on how to approach these types of challenging movements? My friend, you have come to the right place, because overhead has been my lifelong challenge. And I, for years, have scaled and modified so many things overhead because overhead just doesn't treat me well. It's actually stupid a lot of times for me to do it and put stress on my back that is unhealthy and unnecessary. And so I'll do what you do. A lot of times, I can snatch a dumbbell will feel much better than snatching a barbell. So I'll do that. And a lot of times, if we're talking push jerks, push press, whatever it happens to be, if that's not going to treat me well, I'll get my pressing in a different direction. Is it ideal? Is it exactly the same? It's certainly not. Is it still pressing? For sure. So a lot of times I'll press in other directions, like an incline barbell or dumbbell bench press, a flat dumbbell or barbell bench press, good old school push-ups, and a ton of ring dips. Those are all simple presses right there that I'll do a lot of if a movement calls for overhead and overhead doesn't feel good for me. Am I going to stand on some podium of some competition by having to substitute out a lot of my overhead lifts? Nope. There's not a podium in my future. But I'm here to tell you, after doing this for years and years, subbing out my overhead pressing for pressing in those other directions with regards to real life work capacity here on planet Earth, there has been absolutely zero detrimental effects. And if you're doing all those pressings, and even in different directions that I just mentioned as substitutions or modifications, you're strengthening your chest, your shoulders, your triceps, your upper back, etc., etc. Basically the same musculature that you would be strengthening in an overhead lift, you're just doing it in a different direction. And so there's a tremendous amount of benefit there, even if you have to modify it in some way. Make the best decision for yourself. Now, if you can go overhead with a lighter weight, then great. Go overhead with a lighter weight, and you may want to get in some extra pressing if you feel like so here, for example, I'll give you this. Let's say the workout's Grace, 135, 30 clean and jerks for time. When I do Grace, I'll do 30 power cleans, then I'll head over to the bench and do like 30 dumbbell bench press with a pair of 65-pound dumbbells or 50-pound dumbbells or however froggy I'm feeling that day. And that's my Grace. And I do that with DT, or I do that with whatever it happens to be. Fantastic. You might be able to do something where you do 30 clean and jerks with 135 in the bar, and then you grab a pair of 50-pound dumbbells and you do 30 push press with a pair of 50-pound dumbbells, which is less weight than the barbell is, but maybe that weight treats you okay overhead. Or maybe a pair of 35-pound dumbbells treats you well overhead. And so you'll go from 30 reps to 40 reps or 45 reps or whatever mathematically would make sense for you. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can get there and make the smart decision that doesn't cause you joint pain. And if you're still getting your pressing in other directions, I think you're going to be good for the grand scheme of what we're trying to do, which is have a fit, healthy, strong body that will treat you well on planet Earth doing real work. Rach Y. Because running is stupid, but we do it anyways, how do you recommend building endurance? Okay, well, if you just continue to do the workout of the day here at Linchpin, you're going to build your endurance, like beyond a shadow of a doubt. As a matter of fact, that email that I read from Ben at the beginning of this show is kind of testament to that, and we've got tons and tons of similar testimony from people. So, scale appropriately, keep doing the workout of the day, the endurance will come. If you want something above and beyond that, there's nothing wrong with adding a little bit of that stuff in 2 or 3 times a week if that's really an area that you think you'd like to focus on. If you've got a bike, a rower, or just put on the shoes and head out for a run, do that a couple times a week extra. 3 if it treats you okay. Modify the intensity, modify the distance, and that will absolutely help you for sure. You want a more structured program? Then Chris Hinshaw, who's one of the best endurance coaches in the world, and myself, we built a 1.5 mile run program, which is awesome, and people loved it. It's well thought out. It's a home run. Go to variednotrandom.com and you can check out that program if you want. But you don't have to get that program. You can just do what we're doing here at Linchpin each day, and the endurance will come. And like I said, add on some extras if you want there. Let's see. Irina F. I've, previously been a CrossFit gym member and had to deal with some injuries that maybe canceled my membership there. Now, obviously, you're with Linchpin. I wonder what's the best way to make sure I'm performing the movements correctly at home. Nobody can see me and call out if I'm doing something wrong or give me tips for improvement. Absolutely. So, there are some things that you can do depending upon how much time and effort you're willing to put into it. So, first of all, there's so many movement videos out there of what some pretty beautiful movement is. And we attach them each day to the workout of the day so you can see movement demos. You could videotape yourself. I think I just dated myself. Record yourself on your phone and then call that up on your laptop or whatnot. Put your movement from the same angle next to the idealized movement that we post from the movement demos each day there at Linchpin, and go frame by frame and see where you're deviating from that idealized form, and then go ahead and correct that. Takes a little bit of time and effort. Absolutely can be done 100%. What you can also do is we've got multiple members in Linchpin who are level 2, level 3 coaches. Eric John, Matteo Pizzi, a couple that popped in my mind right away. They have opened up their services that if you record a video of yourself and you post it in the private Facebook group at Linchpin and you tag either Matteo Pizzi or Eric John, they'll give you a form check and write feedback in there as well for you. So you can get that done right in the private Facebook group, which is pretty cool. Okay, a few more here. These are from the Linchpin squats feature. I can't believe we might actually get through all these questions because there was a lot. Okay. From Kerr A. Hi, Coach. Greetings from the UK. Greetings. I wanted to ask your thoughts on CrossFit for people with autism or that are otherwise not neurotypical. The background is that my 7-year-old son, who is autistic but highly functional, has shown an interest in exercise after seeing me do your workouts at home and while watching a little bit of the games coverage with me. What do you think are the possible benefits of things to keep in mind when introducing somebody who isn't neurotypical to exercises/fitness? Thanks for any thoughts you're able to share on this topic. Wow. First of all, awesome topic. Second of all, most certainly not my area of expertise. So what I'm going to recommend you do is, you posted this in the squads feature in BTWB. I would post this as a standalone question in there as well to see if you get people who are in a similar situation what they've been doing. I would also post this in the Linchpin private Facebook group and ask if people have been in a similar situation as yourself, what's their take on this. Again, I'm outside my area of expertise and comfort zone here and not a professional in this realm, so all of those appropriate disclaimers need to be said. But I have yet, in all the interviews and conversations and everyone that's crossed my path, I have yet to have any cohort of people not benefit from intentionally and intelligently scaled or modified functional movements that are appropriate for that person. Eating well and moving your body seem to treat everybody really, really well. So my gut feeling is that it would be a great thing for your son as well. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. But there are undoubtedly issues, neurological, that you should probably be aware of that I'm not aware of, and I don't want to comment on something that important that I'm not that savvy on. Brian M. Let's see. Noodle Linchpin, apologies if this has been asked before. What do you think is the appropriate frequency for benchmark workouts, and how long in between retests to gauge progress? And let's see. Okay, so there is no just black and white answer on how frequently to retest before you do a benchmark again. I would say personally, as a general rule, this could be violated in certain circumstances, but if you wanted a general rule, I would say on the low side, wait at least 3 months. That would be on the low side. If you could wait 6 months before a retest, I think that would be great, personally. James W. I've been a CrossFitter for 7 years. When I was in a gym doing classes, I slowly chipped away at learning the CrossFit movements. I was most consistent with Olympic lifting, but avoided learning double unders. I've been a garage gym athlete for 2 years now, and I have fell in love with Linchpin. Very cool. I have 2 kids under 4. So you're busy, my friend. So time is not always my friend. Yep, amen to that. Am I shortchanging myself scaling the double unders, or are they worth learning? Okay, so you're busy. I assume whenever dubs get programmed, you do single unders. Are you shortchanging yourself? This actually dovetails really well on the question earlier by Jose, I believe, who asked it, of me using the heavy rope single. Like I said, the big differentiator there, both are going to work just fine for my fitness 100%. Love the heavy rope singles, as a matter of fact. It's just the neurological aspect. There is most certainly benefit in challenging yourself neurologically, coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance, of having your mind have to think about how your body is moving. And that will happen to a greater extent with a double under when compared to a single under. So that would be the primary benefit there. Are you like, but we do 105 different things, right, in our strength and conditioning program. So if this one particular thing, you took the quote-unquote road that's a little less neurologically taxing and you're still hitting the 104 other things that we do, I don't think you're going to see any negative effect in your fitness. You want to learn a new skill? It's there for you. If not, you'll get fit with the single unders and maybe consider getting a heavy rope. Let's see. Mason, I just did my first Linchpin challenge and it was great. With the new Linchpin lifestyle training starting in January, are you still going to be doing the challenges? So I'm going to be making a video about the Linchpin lifestyle thing. I made a post in the squads and a post in the private Facebook group about what that is. But in my mind, it's each month in 2024, there's something we're doing which doesn't involve working out, as just like a mental challenge or a lifestyle challenge, self-improvement challenge, I don't know if you can call it that, but a fun challenge. So we'll always still be doing, and that's going to be totally for free, we'll always still be doing other sorts of challenges. I've had those roll around. I don't think we'll do them on like a set cadence, but I've got a few in my mind that I think we could sprinkle in during the year that we haven't done yet, and I think they'd be cool, and I think people would enjoy them. So yeah, I still got them rolling around in my head. I'll keep you posted. Okay, 2 more. I can't believe it. We're not going to get through these. Corey, you refer to quote-unquote engine building quite a bit in your daily videos. What does this mean? Do you have any tips for getting faster at cycling barbell movements? When attempting to cycle the snatches from Tuesday's workout, I find it difficult to do at a consistent pace. So for me, when I say engine building, that would be what non-CrossFitters would call cardio and what CrossFitters would call monostructural conditioning. So think you're biking, that's short, medium, long, rowing, short, medium, long, and running, short, medium, and long. Those general things right there, conditioning pieces, monostructural conditioning, quote unquote cardio in the regular civilian world, I usually refer to that as engine building. But of course you can have engine in mixed modality events as well. Tips for getting faster in cycling the barbell movement. I almost just want to say work on cycling the barbell. But that's a silly thing to say. What I mean by that is it can be really easy to not fall into the trap. That's not the right word that I'm saying. Let's go back to a workout like Grace, which we've mentioned several times. 30 clean and jerks, 135 pounds for men, 95 pounds for women. A lot of people, after they've done Grace several times, learn that, you know what's the fastest technique for me to do Grace? Quick singles. Yeah, and that applies to several other things as well. Now, that was a trap that I specifically laid on Tuesday's snatch box jump workout, because if I had made those things power snatch, you gotta pull it from the ground all the time, so it would have been a lot more tempting and easy to drop it from the top. So I specifically made it a hang power snatch, which would try to bait people into not dropping the barbell and therefore having to hold onto it and therefore having to cycle it. So now getting back to something like Grace or any particular workout, again, the leaderboard matters and the clock matters, but it's not the only thing that matters. There's development that can occur and yield you a slower time on a workout. Gasp, I know, but we're supposed to do the most work we can in the shortest period of time, which gives us the greatest amount of power. Power is equal to intensity, and intensity is the independent variable commonly scaled. I get it. But if we want to work on something like cycling a barbell, and that Grace workout comes up, and you know that quick singles is your best bet, fastest time, screw your fastest time, right? Who cares? We're going to work on cycling a barbell. And so now you're going to tell yourself, you know what? I'm doing Grace today, and I'm never going to let myself do less than 5 reps touch and go. So I'm going to get through Grace, 6 sets of 5 touch and go. And there's going to work your barbell cycling. You're going to have to focus on lowering the barbell, regain, make sure that you didn't lose your posture, maintaining it the whole time, keeping tension and going again. And so playing that game with various workouts, giving yourself manageable sets that you're going to do. And if the loading's too high, knock down the loading so that you can do this and do it safe and smart. But play these little games with yourself, and if it yields a slower time, that's okay, because your particular goal, stated in your question, wasn't necessarily to PR in a particular workout. It was to, hey, what can I do to help my barbell cycling out? Well, we'll work on some barbell cycling. And you don't have to do that every day on every workout. Maybe you're going to do it twice a week, and just see how it feels and play that game. And that would be a great way to do it. Okay, last question from Jonas M. Just curious what you're reading and if you have any recommendations for books you've read in the past year. Man. I've fallen off the reading wagon the last few months. I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm not going to lie to you. We've been through too much together for me to lie to you. So I'm going to shoot you straight. I get up in the morning and I start working. It's probably bad for me. I probably should get up in the morning and do what I was doing for a while, which is give myself some quiet time, some coffee time, and 20 minutes to read. I actually really miss that. So, Jonas, I think you've motivated me. I got to get back on the reading wagon. I love it and I miss it. And my book recommendation that I always give to people is Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is a national treasure. And Basic Economics is a 600-page book on economics. That doesn't sound like it should be interesting. It sounds like it should be boring and almost a punishment. It's totally the opposite. It's a gift from heaven. It's fantastic. It's a jewel. It's a gem. It's a pleasure to read. And after reading that, I realized how much I don't know about economics. So, yeah. Okay. Man, that was about 45 minutes. We got through a ton of questions. Okay, everybody. My little girl has got like a little play that a bunch of 2.5-year-olds are doing tonight at her preschool, which is going to be our daycare. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to get ready to go see that. And I didn't have a coughing fit during this show, so I'm going to consider that a win. Maybe I'm actually healing. Thanks to everybody out there for being awesome. Appreciate you. And we'll talk later.